Hello and welcome to Inside Edition to discuss national, regional and international issues in depth. Established in 2006, Bahrain Institute of Public Administration, short BIPA, seeks to achieve sustainable development for the country and its citizens based on the Constitution of the Kingdom of Bahrain and the National Action Charter, and in line with the strategic priority within the work of the government efficient functioning government program for the service of citizens. To this end, BIPA have also acted in implementing two national economic initiatives within the Bahrain Economic Vision 2030, namely finding a distinct program for training the government leaderships and developing leaders in the public sector, as well as improving the quality and availability of the training. We will speak about this matter with BIPA Director General Dr. Raad Mohammed bin Shams, who will outline how the institute functions in service of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Welcome back. Joining us here in the studio is Dr. Raad. Thank you very much for being with us and answering some of our questions on the long heard of and always seen Institute of Public Administration of Bahrain. In recent years, the kingdom's public sector witnessed a very rapid advancement in so many services and in different fields, and this continues to grow. That includes the establishment of national organizations to ensure the performance, quality and sustainable progress of their services and what they provide to the citizens. When did the Bahrain Institute of Public Administration, when was it established, and what are the main missions, values and visions it has?
Well, BIPA was established in 2006. We really started to operate in 2009 when we managed to get the budget to start working. So we developed our first strategy, and it was really challenging because we were not known. There is nothing called BIPA before. So it was like, are we there? So what was our vision initially is to be the partner of choice, because we didn't want really to be a normal government entity that take it or leave it. So we started to think from the beginning how to really work as a private mindset. And we thought it's going to take around 5 to 10 years to achieve that vision. Rabbana lak alhamd, with the real support from the government and with all the efforts of BIPA family, we've managed to achieve that in 3 years. So then we started to really think differently, and how can we really make things more, if I would say, innovative, but we haven't really gone into that innovation because we had a virgin land to work with. And this is where we started to move into our second strategy. And the second strategy simply is we are there to create an advanced government, real, productive, but sustainable. Reaching the highest mountains is good, but it's not that much easy to really have sustained and always keep that growing around. And this is where we recreated our values. Because when we started our the first draft of our vision, of our second strategy, we put 5 values. And I can be honest, right?
Of course.
We insist. They had no taste, feeling. There is nothing there. You cannot really feel those values. So we sat again on the table and we said, well, let's go back to our real core values. Let's forget about the generally used terms. And this is where we came up with our core 3 values. Our core 3 values simply is we are a government institution, and we are training people and telling everyone that the citizen is the core dominator for us to serve. So we are all civil servants. As His Majesty the King says, simply, I want to create civil servants. And this is why our core value, the first core value, is to serve, but with a smile. And I think the smile is contagious, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And if we can create that positiveness within our own, within BIPA and within the government entities, I think that's one of the key values that you would like to spread. The second one is simply to really share all of the knowledge available and really take care of those who are really coming to us. And our first customer is BIPA staff. We call them بيباويين بالعربي يعني. بيباويين they are our real lions and lionesses who really can make a difference, and they really did the difference, and we can see that happening throughout.
Working with you and trained by you.
Well, they are training me. I am really learning out of them, because each one of them is really a leader. I'm really proud to see each one of them is a real leader.
Wonderful.
And the third one, and this is where we came up with the third value, which is related to the changes, the innovation that we are looking for. And we kept it as that we need to be pioneering and always raising the bar. When I said that they are real leaders, you can see it, feel it, touch it with the people, with the Bipawiyin. Immediately after each and every big event, big project, they would ask, hey, what's next?
Okay.
And that's the culture that started to develop within BIPA, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And we love it.
Yeah. Well, apparently a lot of other people love it. You guys have a very long list of people that want to join BIPA, and they want to be part of that institution. Of course, like any other educational institution, government institution, anything else, there is a certain capacity that any institution can take on, and other people have to wait. What can you tell us about future plans on taking on more people and maybe providing them with a bigger area for training and more capacity?
Ambitions. The good about ambitions, they are always not that much reachable. So we have lots of ambitions that we would like to aspire to reach. Through the National Leadership Program, we already have defined a set of programs to develop the public sector, the civil servants, into the different levels. Starting from those juniors who just joined until we reach to the undersecretaries and so on. We do have a capacity. We're only working with 29% of our headcount. So there is limitations. Yet we always said, okay, how can we really stretch that out? And without that stretching, no one can really work. Now we are through the program. We can serve around 1,800 to 1,900 people.
Wonderful.
The number of people requesting to join us until now, 3,500.
Wow.
So we have to be really selective. We definitely have to serve them all. But we have the priorities through the years. We have the transition period of around 2 years. The whole idea is to create pools for the decision makers, for those who are on the responsible seat, to choose the best out of them. And since 2007, actually, we have decided to keep a key policy in place, which is that no training would give you any progression. The training would give you competencies, knowledge for you to perform. If you do perform, that's going to show up, and that's where you are going to progress. So it is not really direct as it is there in certain systems, like the French system, or those countries who are applying the French system. It is 1 + 1 = 2. For us, you need to perform on the ground.
So training is like an incentive for the employee at the end.
Isn't it? If you really know how, this is the beauty what really comes in BIPA, because it's not just knowledge. We aim to make sure that the return on investment is really high, and that cannot be done without having it practical. And we always emphasize, and we went through unorthodox ways of really providing training. We introduced lots of things. They were really like taboos in the first days, but today they are they are needed, they are requested, they are even demanded that we need to increase them.
Yes.
Because they really made us provide the training which convert the capabilities of people into a real engine on the ground with a supercharged engine can really move hard.
Yeah.
Soft skills are usually forgotten,
Yeah.
but they are what really change us. Values are what really creates our attitudes. And if we don't really think of those as the key drivers for our training, then we are really losing momentum. We went through some of they were unorthodox at that time, but today they are very much norm. Like a field training. We take the civil servant, senior civil servant, coats, underlines under the civil servant. We take them in tracksuits and we take them to the golf court, and we use leadership games, playing in the ground, carrying people, moving people. And that's where they start to lose all of those glass barriers between them. And since we started in 2009, and we are really proud of the alumni of BIPA, the graduates. Those who have started with us in 2009, they are still in contact till today through their own groups. They were on BlackBerry before, and now they shifted to WhatsApp. And they are still in contact, they are still in communicating, and the best over there, I call it positive wasta. It is the real networking, and they are really working together. As they are now, they have really progressed well within their organizations, and they are really working well to complement each other, sitting, solving problems for citizens. And that's the beauty behind it.
Well, actually, this would have been my next question. What is the feedback of your alumni and of your students that actually do take the course and go on with the training?
Yesterday, we did lots of studies and of those progression and so on. And sometimes we really don't cover everything, because yesterday I was with one of the ministers who was part of our programs. And I told him, well, that program that you have went through was not really much enough to bring people to the right level. He said, no, it was good. I said, yeah, but not all of them have really progressed. He said, blah, 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 blah. He's there, she's there, she's the progress. I said, oh,
where
right.
they've reached.
Oh, right. And that's, he made my day, by the way. He made my day.
I'm sure.
And this is where it's not about bragging about it. It's how they really manage to make that difference. Our slogan simply is to get together for change, since we started. And change is the only dominant factor. And if we really don't create that momentum, a sustainable change momentum, that is not going to make a difference, or otherwise we are not really reaching. Well, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, through our programs, we've done a study with the ROI Institute in the US, and 2 studies actually. Those 2 studies simply were overwhelming. Usually, learning is around 25%. When it comes to return on investment, which is the highest level, starting from, there are 5 levels through the Kirkpatrick model. Happiness, we call them happy faces. You remember always those happy faces?
Yes.
Second is learning. Third is application. Fourth is impact. Fifth is how much monetary value have you managed to bring to the organization with your competencies gained specifically from that program. And it is a very thorough methodology, well known worldwide. It's called Jack Phillips methodology. The 2 studies were done on 2 programs, one for the juniors and one for the seniors. The juniors one, amazingly, the monetary return was 176%.
Wow, massive.
Which means for every dinar that we have spent, we've managed to get 1 dinar 760 fils.
Beautiful.
The second program, which is for the seniors,
Yeah.
because their life is more complicated, what we combined their training with coaching.
Okay.
Face-to-face, confidential coaching, really managed to bring them much higher than we expected. The studies in the Harvard Business Review says simply that learning would jump from 20% to 80% if it is coupled with coaching. And that gave us the motivation to go through the coaching face-to-face and field, and we've trained people and to do that. And now all Kawadir and Qiyadat programs, the two levels, the higher two levels, they are coupled with coaching. The return on investment in Kawadir, which are the section heads,
yes,
more than 400%.
Massive.
Which means each and every dinar spent, the government gained 4 dinar back. That gave BIPA if I would call it credibility, to take it even further, and this is where the National Leadership Program became a de facto, and this is why we are overwhelmed with 3,500 people. But it's nice to see the difference happening.
Yeah.
We always say it in BIPA that we are privileged to be able to serve, to be able to create that difference in people's lives. That's what really stays. Yeah. Everything is going to go and change, but building people, their values, their competencies, always stays not just for them, it stays for you.
Now, the BIPA's MPM is part of the National Program for the Development of Government Leaders, which aims to equip government leadership with the tools to make informed decisions and develop sound policies. This is some of the program's professors, what they had to say.
A new generation of public sector managers in your country, and it was with great pleasure that we decided to be a partner in this unique program.
You can invest in this program because this program is a really a high-level program. But when I read the thesis, I can say the thesis is at international standard level. International.
Well, as we see that also a big number of your staff, your educational staff that are actually giving the training are from outside of Bahrain. What can you tell us about the quality of the professors and the people that come and teach?
We decided from the beginning on a very key policy that we will not recruit anyone on our payroll for trainers, lecturers, assessors, coaches. So, because we don't want to compete with the private sector. We want to really build the private sector as we go. But the whole idea of creating BIPA is that we are filling a gap.
Yes.
And there are lots of Bahrainis in the private sector who can really bring knowledge, competencies into the public sector. So we started to work with the Bahrainis, and we started to open up with the nationals in the GCC, in the Arab region, and worldwide. We created more than 43 alliances around the world that really supported us to bring the best of breed whenever we need it for the specific purpose that you would like to achieve. Starting from the UN, OECD, the International Institute of Administrative Sciences, which alhamdulillah I am the senior vice president now, and Bahrain is running the actual secretary for the worldwide organization. And then we have lots of other alliances, China, the US, Brazil, name them. For the MPM, for example, the Master of Public Management that we have people, it was developed with the French, but the people who, the lecturers are practitioners and academics coming from France, Netherlands, Belgium, Britain, Switzerland, Italy, China, Brazil, US. So it is really an international program.
Number of different places.
And that wouldn't have happened without the strategic relationship management that we have managed to create the alliances with.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, let's face it, let's be frank.
Yeah.
We need to develop ourselves in the knowledge of public administration. We are not yet there.
Yeah.
And there is a huge knowledge out there. So unless we really bring it on board, then we are not really, we are going to still be chewing around what they have done.
Yeah.
So what we thought, that can we really create knowledge? Can we really produce knowledge? And that's what we really aim for the Master of Public Management and our research arm, which is the Middle East and North Africa Public Research Network, MINAPA.
Yeah, that's actually what I want to ask you about. The MPM program is a big deal because you guys are really attempting, as you said, to produce knowledge that is not known by doing this research. Tell us a little bit about this research and what you're expanding into.
The idea started when we, for the training that we are doing, we are really focusing on the competencies and the traits. But there is knowledge that needs again to be conveyed. We do provide knowledge within the National Leadership Program, but it is not yet enough because it's massive out there.
Yeah.
And if we really want to create knowledge, then we need to produce people who can really chew knowledge, who can really understand it, work it out, and then create it out of it. And this is where we started to go for the Master of Public Management. We studied the whole region. We created the curriculum which is really fitting to the demands in the region. And then we partnered with the biggest university in the, through the tendering process in France, which is Aix-Marseille University. And we insisted that they bring the practitioners on board. And this is why the National School of Government, which is called INA, in France, was brought on board in collaboration with the AMU, the Aix-Marseille University, to provide the program. Every year we have 25 Bahrainis fully sponsored to get into the program. They are chosen selectively out of more than 130 people applying. And I think we are already open now for those who would like to join us. Actually, not just from the government who have joined us. We have people joined us even from the private sector.
Wow.
Because they've managed to see the benefit, how it really can not just link to the government network, but also the knowledge provided, because it spans into so many things. It's called the Master of Public Management. And as you've heard on the clip, the in particular six dissertations or theses were really on an international standard.
Yeah.
They started now, we had the first batch gradually, the first cohort, and they've started to really make a difference now. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we've seen them even progressing within their careers as much as they are really producing knowledge, extra knowledge into the public sector. Is that enough? No, because it's knowledge, the knowledge is endless.
Yes.
Until now, through MINAPAR, for example, we have produced more than 500 papers, articles.
Yeah.
But they are not yet integrated within the mechanisms of real change within the government.
Yeah.
We are moving even further now through MINAPAR, registering it as an international NGO to make sure that we get also the funding, hopefully from even the private sector who are interested in developing the communities. And MENAPAR today have been recognized as an international think tank depicting for the region. It's not recognized by us, or otherwise will be biased. It was recognized by the UN themselves, the South-South Cooperation Office, and we have created with other 5 organizations what is called the Global Thinkers.
Yes.
It is an international setup that would bring the SDGs live into the regions, and we are representing the Middle East region. Yeah. We are again being recognized by the International Institute of Administrative Sciences as the organization representing the Middle East and North Africa. We even managed to get 2 funding from the UN to do 2 projects for the Arab region.
Yes.
One in sustainable energy and the second in the stakeholder management. Yeah. Such type of confidence is really important for everyone to see that it is not just, it's not anymore a local network. It's really not even regional, but it is an international network.
Well, that's actually the other thing I want to ask about now. The whole world is going towards the SDGs, or the Social Development Goals for 2030. We see our countries around us, the regional area, that are working towards milestones of 2020, 2030, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and us here in Bahrain. And in Bahrain, we've had very big milestones when it came to the Sustainable Development Goals and how much we have achieved, especially in the preservation of energy and usage of green energy. But what can you tell us about how does BIPA contribute to achieving the SDGs of 2030?
We have realized the difficulty, I would say. Even through our discussions with our networks, I still recall in Chengdu, China, we were on the table with the OECD and the IIS and the UN discussing how can really the SDGs be integrated and dribbling down to the actual fields and work that really can make a difference. And it is a worldwide phenomenon that it is not an easy thing to be comprehended. Yeah. When we came to Bahrain, we simply said, we were in a meeting with the UNDP here in Bahrain, and we said, well, we can integrate that into the National Leadership Program. And they said, really? I said, well, it is possible. So after around 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they said, well, let's sit down and say, let's see how can we really develop it further. I said, we finished. They said, yeah, but we need to start developing. I said, we already did that. So again, I'm saying that that's exactly why I'm saying that we are raising the bar through our lions and lionesses of BIPA, because they immediately took it and integrated the SDGs into the National Leadership Program. And we started to work with the UNDP here in Bahrain to develop the curriculum.
Beautiful.
And now the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are integrated with all the programs, starting from the juniors until reaching to the seniors. For each one of them would have a dose depending on their position, because sometimes you would probably just need to be aware of what's really the SDGs. How can you, as a person, relate to it? Yeah. But on other levels, we demanded that even the projects, initiatives that are done through the 100 days follow-up of the programs, that they need to be linked to specific SDGs to make sure that they are really in alignment. That fits perfectly with our vision.
Beautiful. To
have really productive government, but sustainable. And when it comes to the 17 SDGs, the 17 goals, it's not about which one of them really fits for the government, because any government would need to look at all of them and contribute in all of them.
True.
So we have decided not to choose SDG 16 or SDG so on so. But we decided to go for all of them and to make sure that we can really do development based on each trainer into their field of expertise, into their field of work, so that they can make a difference within their own environment.
And each one has its own progression. Some progress more or faster than others, but they all have their progress. And is this also where it fits in that BIPA actually does have exchange visits between experts regionally, internationally, globally, with Bahrain for these programs and fulfilling the SDGs training programs? Is this where this fits in?
It fits in perfectly through the MPM. We are doing it through other means. For now, we have already the roundtable discussion in which we bring seniors. We call it thought leadership. We're bringing something out of the norm for people to start understanding things. As we've started before, we were discussing that earlier. When we started, policy making was not really understood. It was not in our dictionary. So we started to put that into the norm of our discourse, and I think today at least public policies is at least understood. Public sector is at least understood as a specialized sector. The roundtable discussion, we bring that thought leadership on the table to be discussed confidentially by the seniors in the public sector, and we even bring sometimes the private sector on board so that we can really work together in lots of initiatives. And we've introduced just recently what we call BIPA Talk. Again, it aims to bring those ideas to a bigger, a wider audience, which are the directors and section heads, to introduce the SDGs, behavioral insights, systems dynamics, design thinking, which are all fitting towards our main initiative nowadays, which is the Public Innovation Lab.
Yes. Well, before we go on the actual assessment of the success of BIPA, I want to refer to something that you have already talked about, your cooperation with the UNDP. And specifically, you signed a MOU or an understanding. Can you tell us more about that basically event?
We have 4 strategic objectives, very simple ones. Everyone can relate to them. Even if BIPA is not there, they have to be fulfilled. That's for the sake of the government.
Yes.
The first one is to improve services. Second, to manage resources. Third, to have evidence-based policy making. Fourth is to manage change and innovation. And the fourth one, as it is so clear that it really spans for all of the first 3. And it was really a challenge on how to go about innovation. There is again a connotation with innovation that is, oh, we can sit on a table, 2 minds better than one. Let's discuss it, let's have brainstorming, and then we'll have ideas. Oh, we're going to be innovative. No, it doesn't work. It's not anymore that way. It's more systematic now. Through what is called design thinking and other methodologies, you can systematically bring the best out of people, not just the civil servants, not just the seniors of the civil servants, not just the civil servants themselves, but with all the communities. The stakeholders are so much important to bring them on board in what we call crowdsourcing, co-design, that we can create difference that would serve the citizens directly. And the Innovation Lab is, if I would say, the capsule that would bring people into a more like a sandbox environment. Services can be thought differently, not just re-engineered, but real new thoughts can be brought using psychology, using behavioral economics, using ethnographies to make sure that we create and craft the policies towards and services towards the best and the betterment of the community and the citizens. And it is a sandbox because we can test experiment.
Yeah.
And experimentation is not piloting. A real experimentation means there are methodologies that can be really done scientifically to make sure that we are doing the right things before we go out to the communities and publicize a service or publicize a policy.
Because you assess the results
You would
before
assess
you
it.
go.
You would assess it in a more systematic way and contained. If any of the options are not viable,
Yeah.
clear the sand and start again.
Understood.
That would give us a real move forward. We always fear of failure. And without failure, you cannot really succeed.
Right.
You cannot really move forward. But we need to manage that failure. Rather than we call it as failure, we call it experiments.
Yeah.
Learn out of the experiments. Bring it on board in a confined environment, systematically done, bringing the thoughts of the seniors, juniors in the government, but also having the public to participate. It's for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they need, it's always said, oh, well, I know, I've been there in the government for 20 years, so I know what you know. I'm a Bahraini citizen, so I know. But yeah, but you are not into the real affected zones.
Yes.
The real affected areas of concerns.
Yeah.
So bring those on board. Bring them into a more confined, systematic way in a sandbox that can be really dealt with. It's not about, usually innovation is taken as a hype, as a okay, let's play around with it. It's nice, it's a nice gimmick. We are not into that. We want to make sure that we can create things on the ground. And we've started this with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, the first Deputy Prime Minister. He initiated what we call the government competition, fikra, idea. It's called idea. The whole idea behind idea is to bring all of those who were not able to bring their voice to the government because of any kind of shyness, bureaucracy, to bring them directly to His Royal Highness.
Yeah.
And the process itself would enable us to make sure that the best can be not just selected, but to be even practiced and integrated within the government work.
Yeah.
Because we will be training them on how to pitch, on how to really present their ideas to the seniors. And for the seniors coming on board to really choose them clearly. If ideas are possible to be implemented directly, well and be. If they need to be recrafted, redesigned, thought of differently, we'll bring them into the innovation lab and redesign them with the concerned people, as innovators we call them, or with the government institutions, or with the public together.
Yes. Tell us more about the Innovation Lab and the details that came behind it being so successful in implementing the training.
The Innovation Lab is not a department. The Innovation Lab really spans throughout BIPA. We would have training into it.
Yes.
We would have research. We would have consultancies to be provided to the government entities. We would have assessment, coaching, facilitation, bringing all of those into one area. We call it the Innovation Lab. We debated, is it really virtual or is it physical? But I think people would always link with something
materialistic or solid.
Materialistic, right? So we thought initially through our new offices, we have dedicated a space, hopefully it will be innovative too, for the Innovation Lab, so that we can bring the government people, those who are interested. And amazingly, in our last Thursday's roundtable discussion, the seniors immediately grabbed the idea and they put even cases and problems on the table. We said, well, we need to go into these and think it over differently.
Beautiful.
We already have such type of problems. How can we use behavioral insights? How can we really use the innovation lab into making that difference that you need?
Amazing.
They made my day.
Amazing, amazing. We've regrettably gotten to the end of our episode for today, but before we do end, I just have one more question. After 13 years of dedicated efforts, how does the Institute assess its success, in addition to give us a little bit of a brief about your future projects?
Have we succeeded? Well, we spoke about the ROI. We spoke about so many things. But going back to our third value, we are not yet there. We still need to raise the bar. We still need to make huge other differences. Citizens are demanding to go for more. The leadership is really pushing us hard to really serve better.
Yeah.
Are we really there? I mean, let's just give you an example. We are not into communication, but we have decided to keep one of the arms out of 5. We have the learning and development, we have the coaching and assessment, we have research, we have consultancy, and we have added strategic communication for the simple purpose that we need to enlighten the whole communities, the government and the public, with what's really going on.
Yeah.
What does public policy mean? What does real innovative services mean? How can we bring the happiness? How can we bring the motivation into an engagement into the real work? It might not be our core work, but without it, we will not be able to deliver any other things. So we are moving even forward now for the Innovation Lab. We have work hopefully to be announced for the PhD with the University of Bahrain and one of the universities internationally. We are preparing for internationally recognized with international speakers and leadership workshops for 2019. They are open also for the public and the private sector, trying to fill up certain gaps within the National Leadership Program. The sky is the limit, isn't it?
It is, it really is. And there's so much more information that people, if they want to know more about BIPA, they can find on the social media and the website provided in the internet. We would really like to thank you, Dr. Raed Shams, for being with us today and answering all of our questions. And we would also like to thank you for watching, and see you next week in another episode of Inside Edition.